Oh God, Finn, why did I do that? That was not worth it, fam.
Oh my God, that is the sickest breakdown I've ever heard.
We are having the metalcore discussion, joined with the legends here. We have Nick Hipa of Meyer, also legendary acts, Woven War As I Lay Dying, Finn Mckenty, also known as Punk Rock NBA.
Like I said before, me and metalcore were like, it's like Oprah and bread. I love bread. That's how I feel about metalcore.
When it comes to identifying a band as metalcore, like, oh, the OG greats, stuff like you mentioned, Converge, Earth Crisis, Hulu, Shoot. I have no idea how the
Shai Hulud.
How was the scene back in that day?
I came in through kind of a weird door,
right,
which was a lot of solid state records. That was my early understanding of what metalcore was, and then it evolved eventually, you know, especially as the New England bands started to incorporate more of the Swedish riffing. But that's how it started for me.
What was like the first band that was like, this is the transition from taking hardcore punk and whatever, made it more extreme and was like identified as metallic hardcore?
I mean, I would say it's Earth Crisis.
Earth Crisis, okay.
Converge started back then as well.
Yeah, their big thing is always the Jane Doe album, right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
Which is
that's
like,
when they got really, really good.
Bands started to do, you know, breakdowns, basically. It seemed to be like, was that the big thing that was really at least identifying what metalcore was back in that day?
How many chugga chuggas? Exactly. It's the same thing as now. You know, if it's got chugga chuggas, they'll put it on the new core playlist.
So moving into the 2000s, bands taking the breakdown and angst that Converge and all these, you know, bands previous were doing, but now actually adding riffs and solos from melodic death metal.
Well, I think you got to give a shout out to Darkest Hour.
It's funny because I discovered Slaughter of the Soul through Darkest Hour, but it definitely goes back to like At the Gates. I think Carcass is even a band that they were more like
definitely up there too. They were the first band to let's say appropriate Carcass, which they will tell you if you listen to interviews with them. They'll tell you.
In the late 90s, you know, In Flames and Soilwork too, I think were a huge a huge part of that equation.
And I know a weird one on the side, I guess, like Avenged Sevenfold, even Wake in the Fallen, which was just kind of wacky in its own metalcore legend. But even a song like Unholy Confessions, I know for the guitar community, that's I always say it's not the actual origin of 578, but that's always the joke because that's the riff. Da 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 da.
It's the Doomsday riff of the early 2000s.
Yes, it is the Doomsday riff of the early 2000s. Huge albums like, which I guess a little bit later in 2000s, but like All That Remains, Fall of Ideals, As I Lay Dying, Shadows or Security. It seemed like it was all around maybe 2004 to 2006.
And Shadows or Security, that was a very straightforward, like Gothenburg sounding record. And we were immediately like, we have to do more. We have to expand our sound. We have to incorporate more elements. Like we didn't have a lot of guitar solos at that time. We need to have like bigger choruses, like different arrangements. And I think
time for the butt rock album, boys.
Time to turn the metronome down.
It also seemed like during this era, there was a huge surge of bands who wanted to sound like Converge, and the follow-up, Under Oath. Also like Bullet for My Valentine, Atreyu, right? Like Bullet for My Valentine, The Poison, Atreyu, The Curse. Like
gotta shout out 18 Visions in there too for inventing the sort of glam, glam inspired branch of metalcore.
And then when you're talking about the next wave of metalcore being Devil Wears Prada, then you get Joey Sturgis core or what? Like Joey, what he did was just like his level of production was an entirely unique, but just like so precise.
Devil Wears Prada laid the foundation. To me, Attack are the ones that really just threw out all the rules.
And then, it really seemed like, not that all the other bands died like before this, but it seemed like the focus was like, what is this MySpace core?
But it really just became about the breakdown.
It really did.
That's the only part anyone cared about.
Next up, I feel like what I started to see a lot of personally was Sumerian core / gent core.
But that shit was cool as when it came out.
Yes.
Like Born of Osiris and Veil of Maya. Like a lot of people watching the stream probably think I hate all that stuff and I talk shit about it all the time. No, it was cool as when it came out in like 2008, 2009.
Right.
It was super fresh and new and different. But that was like almost 15 years ago. That's the reason why I'm like, all right, what's next?
That was like the big Meshuggah influence, all those bands. And so, I mean, even Meshuggah hasn't been mentioned in here, but like, I think they've influenced every form of heavy music, like everything in this thing. I think Meshuggah is like
after Obscene for sure.
Yeah, or yeah, but like even like Chaos Fear for like the first wave of metalcore bands was an influence, and then after Obscen, I think the Sumerian.
That's when everyone else caught on.
Yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon, Sempiternal, then entered the game. And this is the next evolution of metalcore. Now, I did not think it was going to literally take over the next 3 years, though.
3 years? I was going to say 10.
And also this little side scroll of what I love when you say it, because it's just you're the person to say it, Finn. Butt rock, almost. I'm like metalcore butt rock.
When they get the leather jackets and they get added to the Sirius XM Octane playlist.
And I feel like this was to me the dark age of metalcore.
Hey, I'm with you on this one, buddy.
You know, at the same time that this was going on, as far as like metalcore bands, I think While She Sleeps and like Fit for a King and bands like that, we're still just kind of writing like they were doing their own thing, but they were writing really good songs. And like I specifically think of those two bands because around that time period they were still doing really cool stuff with guitar.
And it seems like now this buttcore kept kind of going here, right? Like it's still expanding in this direction here, but alongside it, I started to notice bands doing this like proggy metalcore shit, which was still like I felt like the subset off the gentcore stuff. So bands like Era,
Thornhill, North Lane,
yes,
that stuff.
Thank you. Yes, Thornhill, North Lane. So like prog kind of metalcore.
UNFD core.
I'm gonna call it UNFD core because that's perfect, right? Okay. So now we're at like 2017 now, I think, right?
Now we are past the era.
Finn, you know what's next? Do you want to start off with this one? I know you're very passionate about this era of metalcore.
I wish I had like a David Attenborough voice where I explain this giant tectonic event that would sweep through the entire vast scope of stars, and that would be the Doomsday Riff. So here we are,
the Doomsday Riff,
the modern era of Doomsday core.
Basically, it seems as though we're around here, 2017. Bands pick one or two choices in the metalcore world that aren't, again, doing their own still subsets of things that are going on. We're doing buttcore or we're doing doomsday core.
Why not both?
And now, modern age 2022, I feel like, and Finn, you've mentioned some of these in your video, which, again, are they subsets of kind of metalcore and all this? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, yeah. The Deftones core stuff. Like
Deftones core.
And
easier to say.
Loathe and Sleep Token, that sort of thing.
Right.
New metalcore.
Oh, okay.
Throw a Linkin Park chorus on your Doomsday Riff, and there you go, baby.
Okay, another subset I want to put in here, which seems like Converge is coming back in that way, which I guess I didn't really kind of include them during this whole thing, but I really should have mentioned them. Obviously, you know them. Amur. And with Amur, I always call it two different things, which, you know, let me know how you feel about them. Either pissed core or cancel core, because it's not really like Converge anymore. It's this new thing where it's like angrier core. It's core.
Yes.
Josh is an unbelievable riff machine. Like,
did you know he quad tracked the entire album of Amir guitars in a day?
What?
5 hours, I heard.
Yes.
Yeah, they like wasn't happy with it. It was like, I'm just gonna do the whole thing, like guitars and bass, right?
Yes.
I swear to, where is it? I have this pedal that I swear to God 90% of the bands use.
Is that a whammy pedal?
Yeah, that pedal got real popular the past couple of years.
You got the
We've got someone in the chat here. I can't read their name. Has brought up a good point.
Okay.
Is hardcore core, meaning like Knocked Loose, Jesus Peace, Burials, Code Orange.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
So
That's a sick genre.
Yeah. So would you see? This is my thing. Would you not just call that new hardcore? Would you call that a subset of metalcore?
Yeah, it's debatable. You know, because those bands do come from the hardcore scene.
I was just gonna say, if you have like an alarm clock riff in there, then it goes back to the beginning of this chart that Nick's making. So I feel like it fits in the metalcore umbrella for like Knocked Loose or Code Orange or something like that.
Okay. And of course, there's tons of bands, chat. So don't add us. There's so many bands and so many great bands and so many things that have influenced.
That's why it's crazy how many. All of these will be on one playlist on Spotify, and I'm just like, I'll put it on and I'm just like, wait, what am I listening to again?
Yes.
And I'm like, this is new core, and I haven't, you know, one band that I just want to add in here because they're my favorite is Bleed From Within.
Oh,
I don't know
yes.
I don't know which one.
They're almost like the new Shadows Fall, right?
Yes. The metalcore era's diagram.
This needs to go in the Smithsonian.
Probably just going to end up on our metalcore, to be honest, and we're just going to get roasted for it. So I don't really expect anything else.
Yes.
But
We missed all the bands, all the good bands.
Wow, I'm shocked there was no mention of whatever fill in the blank band from Hamilton, Ohio in 2007.